What is up, you guys? I am back. I just want to do a quick disclaimer. If you notice that I'm wearing different clothing than my thumbnail, that is only because this is like my third time trying to film this video, and I've just not been getting it right. I've just been missing out on information that you need to know, and just kind of explain everything detail by detail, because I want to be honest with you guys. I don't want to leave anything out, and my last attempts have just not been, worthy or worth it, you know. If you don't know, I am a CNA. A lot of people were confused about my second video where I talked about how I worked in a warehouse, and it's kind of different than, you know, what a CNA does and things like that. I was working in the warehouse for the summer until I go back to school. I think I said that in one of my videos, I'm not sure. I'm going back to school and I will continue with my CNA position, so I kind of was just on like an employee leave and things like that. I am getting closer to moving back to school. All my stuff right here. Ignore all of this because that's all stuff that I'm taking to school, and I'm so excited to film that video for you guys. I'm so excited to film school videos, and just, you'll see. If you don't know, a CNA stands for Certified Nurse Assistant. I like to think that we take care of patients that are around the elderly age, around 60 and up probably. A PCT in like a hospital, a patient care tech, is kind of like the same as a CNA, and they're in a hospital setting and we're in a nursing home setting. So they kind of deal with all sorts of ages, you know, and we deal mainly with like 60 and up, just kind of the age limit that we accept, and well, at least in my facility now. We're all the same. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about my program that I went through, and kind of just what to expect, and to not feel discouraged if you do feel discouraged and things like that. I did take my program in Terre Haute, Indiana. If you don't know where that is, that's like southwest of Indiana. So it's an hour away from Indy, where I'm originally from. At the beginning, I did not know what CNA was. I didn't know really what you know, what a CNA did. I didn't think it was something that I needed to know or really needed to put as much effort into, you know. My boyfriend's mom is a QMA, and a QMA stands for Qualified Medication Aid, and she is just able to pass out medicine, wound cares, dressings, things like that. It's kind of like an upper level from a CNA, but you do have to work like a certain amount of hours as a CNA to be able to take your QMA classes. Like, you can't just take it back to back. You have to have hours in as a CNA. So that's what she is, and she went through the same program, the same building, same instructors, and she told Mark, and Mark told me, and she thought it was a great idea for both of us, as we were wanting to become nurses. So she thought it was a great idea. She thought we should really go into it with an open mind, but my sophomore year, I was like determined to take it and take the class. It was only a month long. I know a lot of other classes and other programs and like Ivy Techs, they are way longer than a month. I don't know why, but mine was just a month long, and it was 2 weeks of lectures every single day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30, I want to say. Weekly quizzes, weekly procedures that you had to know, and things like that. Bunch of flashcards. A bunch. You needed flashcards. 2 more weeks of clinicals, which you would actually go to a nursing home, and it was a hands-on program. You got to pretty much do a lot of patient care, and for somebody that didn't know anything about that, it was very scary, and it was very like eye-opening, and it definitely took me out of my comfort zone. Who I am now is very different than who I was during my clinicals, and I've learned a lot. You know, I've got the tricks down, things like that. Pretty much my program, I just had to get, they were helping me with tuition. I went through Work One. I don't really know what Work One does. I think it's for disemployment. I don't really know what Work One does, I'm sorry. I just know that they helped me pay for my tuition because I qualified or something like that. Shout out to you, work one. I think her name was Tina. Tuition was like $800, so it wasn't even like it was that bad. They made it possible that it was free for me, so I'm forever grateful for that. When you first start, your first day, they gave you a little name tag that says your name, says you're a CNA student. They give you a big old binder, huge binder, with a bunch of lesson plans, and the back has a bunch of procedures and all the procedures that you have to know, and you have to do them right. Every day we went through a certain amount of lessons. We had to log them, and the program went by quick. It was so fast. Like one lesson, like sometimes we would go through like 10 lessons a day, and it was just back to back to back to back to back, you know? Like you would just have to like, okay, this is what that is what that is, you know, things like that. So it was very fast paced, and it was like scary a little bit, but my class was small and we all helped each other out. None of us like, you know, none of us failed, so that's just all that mattered. But we had a bunch of lessons, and on Fridays we had quizzes, and you had to remain with an 80% or higher just to continue on, because you had to have an 80% or higher to even be able to take your state test, because that just kind of showed that you were, like, you knew what you were doing and you have common sense and things like that. But if you were below that, I don't honestly know what they would do. I think they would kick you out, but I'm not so sure about my program. I don't know. We also had, for like our second week of lessons, we had, towards the end of the week, we had to get CPR certified, and that was a really fun experience. That we got to work with some dummies, and I'll insert a picture and everything down below. It was a lot of fun, and we got CPR certified that same day. Work one, again, paid for everything. Yeah, because when we start classes, we had to be in Navy scrub sets, and they give you 2 pairs, and they gave you clogs. And if you don't know what clogs are, I'll insert a picture. They're just these shoes for nurses. Wear clogs, okay, because when you are taking somebody a shower and you're wearing like shoes like this, be prepared for your sock to be soaked. 1, 2, you're gonna be squish, 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 and 3, that's just annoying. So if they give you clogs, wear them, like, for real. But yeah, so they gave us that just for our clinicals, though. We didn't have to wear them for lessons. But actually some days we did have we had lab days, which is we got to work with the dummies that were in our classroom, and we just do procedures on them. We did, you know, quizzes on them and things like that. So that was really fun. Lessons went by really quick, and it was just like back to back, and we got homework and all that stuff, and it was just really fast paced. But it was, you know, they taught it really well, and I really love my instructors, and they were the best, and I would recommend them to anybody that wants to become a CNA, like in the Terre Haute area. I'm obviously going to leave their page, like their Facebook page, and you can call them and check them out and things like that. But yeah. And then after that we did clinicals, and clinicals, we went to a specific nursing home that they had for us, lined up for us. We went to that nursing home, and the first day we got to job shadow, so we didn't do anything. I think the first 2 days were like, just, you couldn't do anything. You just had to watch, kind of see what CNA did. It's really like scary, and you're going to feel scared. You're going to feel like you don't know everything, and you're going to feel like everybody that's a CNA already is probably just looking at you like, because they are going to hate you. The CNAs that are working there are going to hate you. 1, you're going to take their parking. 2, you're probably going to do a bed wrong, and they're probably going to tell on you. But you need that stuff to hit you in the face, and to really like set you to like really hit your gears and like really do hard. They hate you. Who cares? Who cares? Unless you're working there, unless you're going to apply to that nursing home, who cares? Who cares? You know? It would be like this. It would be like 2 partners with 1 CNA, and then it would just be 2 partners with maybe like 1 resident for the shift. Oh, and this was Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 2:30, and then it would just be okay, it's just you with maybe one resident. And then after that, it was just you with maybe like 4 residents to yourself to feed, bathe, take to the bathroom, dress, all of that. So it was very overwhelming, and it was scary, and it just teaches you to, like, if this is something you really want to do, if this is something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, and I'm not saying that like you're going to be doing CNA work the rest of your life, no, but it teaches you patient care, and it teaches you common sense pretty much, and basically what to do in the scenario and things like that. And because you're not always going to have a PCT in the hospital with you. Sometimes you're going to have to do that stuff. You're like, oh no, I'm a nurse, I'm never going to take somebody to the bathroom. Don't be that kind of nurse. And when you become a CNA, or when you become a nurse, I feel like you'll be able to tell what nurses were CNAs before they were nurses, just because they'll have that kind of level of respect for you and things like that. And the ones that don't, you'll just know that they just strictly wanted to become a nurse, and that was it, because they didn't think they would want to do CNA work. And just don't be rude, don't be rude. Thanks. It was like really funny, because your first time dealing with, like, let's say like poop, like taking somebody to the bathroom, is going to be the funniest thing ever. Like, you're always going to remember that, like, always. Like, I will always remember this. It was me and my friend, and this resident, he had to go to the bathroom.
And that's one thing, okay?
That's one thing. When you go to these nursing homes, you will immediately not like a CNA. There will be bad CNAs, there will be good CNAs. It's up to you to look at that bad CNA and be like, you know what, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not. And you can snitch. Go ahead and tell. Who cares? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, you're saving somebody else's grandpa or grandma of being in the hands of that person. And that's what we want, ultimately. We don't want to leave them with somebody that's going to treat them like, crap. Go into becoming a CNA for the check. Like, that is the worst thing to do. That is something you don't want to do. Don't do that, because then that kind of mentality and those kind of actions and feelings that you feel will ultimately go into how you work and how you treat your patients. And that's not, don't.
Don't do that.
But yeah, you will always see somebody that you don't like. Tell on her. Tell on him. Don't be afraid. Be like, hey, he didn't do that right, and I didn't respect it, and I didn't like it. Ultimately, my instructor will tell their DON, which is a director of nursing, and she'll talk to them and see what they want to do with that person. If they're always getting comments about them, eventually they're gonna fire them, because they know it's a repetitive pattern. They're doing something wrong. They're not treating that person right. They got to get the hell out of here. Back to my poop story. He had to go to the restroom, and they just kind of just like shrugged it off. They were like, whatever, whatever. And I just kept looking at him, and he just looked like, like he was going through it. So I was like, hey, we should probably look at, like, are you okay? And he was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I told my instructor, I said, he has to go to the bathroom. Can we take him to the bathroom? And she was like, yeah, you and your friend go, since you guys are partners today, go ahead and take him to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. Okay. I was scared. I was like, oh. And this is my first time ever dealing with poop. This is my first time. And it's just all over the place, and it's like falling on his pants, falling on the floor. It hit everywhere but the toilet, the inside of the toilet. And Monica and me are just like,
bro,
where are the wipes? We gotta get him sit down. We gotta get it in the toilet. Like, why is this all over the floor? It's and it was like, it smelled, and it just was not the best experience, but it was the funniest experience. And I'll forever, like, I went home that day and I was like excited and happy. I was just like smiling from ear to ear. It was the funniest shit ever. And we got him all cleaned up, and it took us literally like an hour. It was so bad because we were like so scared. But that's what that's what it's about. It's about dealing with hard things like that, and like kind of just throwing you out to the wolves. But it's about like fighting off, and like accomplishing it, and like you know, getting him cleaned up and in bed and changed and everything, because this was like after lunch or something, and getting him in bed, that right there was like an accomplishment itself, you know? Like, we did that. Like, high five, you know? It was the funniest stuff ever. Like, I will forever remember it. And I'm gonna put a picture of my class, kind of show you guys. I look busted in the picture because I looked busted every time I went. It was just awful. But I'm gonna insert that. My program went by pretty quick, and it was the best experience. If you want to become a CNA, I encourage it so much. We need more CNAs in this world. I've learned so much from my night shift staff, like the nurses, LPNs, the CNAs themselves. I've learned so much that I can't wait till I become a nurse, and just to have that, you know, those years of experience, that right there is golden. Become a CNA. Just do it. You won't regret it. Like, you'll be scared. Like, I didn't go in my clinicals thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna have so much fun and this is just all a game. No, I was scared shitless. I was scared. They'll definitely take you out of your comfort zone, and they'll make you do shit. Like, they'll make you do it. Obviously, you gotta learn somehow. I definitely recommend to become a CNA, not just because I am, but because it teaches you so much about life in general, and compassion and love and respect and patient care, and I'm just so passionate about what I do, and I just love it so much that I would encourage anybody to become a CNA. Like, it's the best thing ever. You will deal with some gross stuff and some things you just don't want to see, and at the end of the day, it's your job. Like, my first day of clinicals, a resident passed away, like 30 minutes into my shift. And they were like, okay, let's go see them clean it up. And I was like, a dead body? I've never seen a dead body in my life. And just to see him there, I never talked to this man. I never took care of this man. I didn't know him before this. But I immediately was attached. And I wanted to cry my eyes out. But I didn't. You're going to go home some days and you're going to cry your ass off. And it's because it is hard. But it's about accomplishing it. And, you know, feeling good about, you know, finishing strong and things like that. I've grown so much since becoming a CNA. It's literally the best feeling ever. After clinicals, and after you get a certificate of completion that you completed the course, but you aren't a CNA fully. So they will schedule your state test, because she only comes like certain times, like once, you know, every other month or something like that. That's why it's important. Attendance is very important. You can't miss, or you have to make up those hours in order to have this required hours to even take the state test. But you will go to that building, your facility, on that specific date, at a specific time. Everybody's scheduled at a different time. You'll go in, you'll take a written test, and then, which is like multiple choice, like 100 multiple choice questions. God, it was so long, like a bunch of scenarios. You will take your oral test, but it's really like your actual state test. She will watch you. You will go into a dummy room like I showed you before with the doll, but instead of the doll, it will be in your instructor, and you will get to pick out a bunch of like little papers. You have to pick one, and one of them has 7 procedures. 7. So you have to go by every single 7 procedures by the book, and you don't get the book, so she has it, you know what steps they are. So she'll tell you, like, you'll get some precaution warnings, or you'll get like maybe a warning for infectious disease, like maybe you touch the end of the catheter spout maybe with your fingers, like with your gloves or something. Maybe it was too close to it. Things like that. Perform it. You'll do your initial steps. It's what you do before you enter the room, and when you enter the room, then you will automatically do hand washing. That is a number one that you have to know, and that's like by the book. You have to know all of it. And like an example of like infectious disease is like when you grab the toilet paper to close the faucet, turn it off. With that same hand, you have to throw it in the trash can, that same hand. And I remember on my state test, I grabbed it with my other hand, and she told me about it, and I immediately knew that I fucked up. But you get about 3 tries for, I think it's infectious disease, caution, resident rights, like privacy and things like that, and telling them that you're moving the bed up and things like that. You have to tell them that. But at the end of the day, it's your instructor, so they're just the dummy pretty much, and you're performing those procedures. And if you pass, then you pass. She'll tell you right away, like, hey, you passed. You are able to pass one test and fail the other. You just have to come back I think it's like 2 months when the next group of students come to take it. You have to take it with them. I think you're only allowed 3 tries to take it, but you can still be hired as a nurse assistant. You just won't be a CNA, you'll be an NA. It just kind of depends. Some places require just a CNA. Some places will take in a nurse assistant, like my facility will. I passed, and my classmates passed, and it was just like the best feeling ever. And it was just, I went home and I cried, and I was so happy, and my mom was so happy, and everybody was proud of me. And it was literally like the best feeling in the world. That is my story of my CNA program, and kind of a little bit of tips and advices. I'll do a little bit more videos about CNAs if you guys want. It's just kind of informational about my program and things like that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you're wanting to become a CNA, or maybe were unsure, I hope this, kind of just pushed you to becoming a CNA, because it honestly is the best, and I definitely recommend becoming a CNA. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I will see you guys in the next video.